we were primarily looking into the types of long-term no, types of instrument in a capital market. So as we know, capital market instruments are long-term instruments that satisfy the long-term requirement, financial requirement of a company. Now, in our previous discussion, we said that capital market instruments can be broadly categorized into two, right? One is ownership capital, or those instruments that are contributing towards the ownership capital requirement, and two is towards the debt, the instruments that are contributing towards the debt structure. So that was a primary thing which we discussed, right? Then in the ownership capital, ownership type of instruments, we brought in two instruments, primarily the equity share, which is otherwise called as common stock, and then the, as we call, the preference shares. And when we talk about the equity shares, they are primarily the real owners of the company, because they are given with the entire profit after making whatever, no, the compulsory claims, after making the claims which are laid upon on the company's assets, like payment to the interest to the debentures, or maybe interest to the bonds, or interest expense to the long-term loans, or yes, payment to the creditors, suppliers. All these, after moving all these claims, whatever left over, the portion of profit that belongs to the equity shareholders. So that's why they are called as the real owners, and they carry voting right. All right. So it's otherwise called as common stock. Then we spoke about preference share capital, or preference share as an instrument which contributes to, again, to the ownership capital of the company. And we said preference shares because they carry preferential right with respect to payment of dividend, as well as the repayment of the principal amount at the time of redemption. Now, when I look from the perspective of comparison between the equity shares and preference shares do not carry voting rights. Generally, they do not carry voting rights. And there is a stipulated or a designated percentage of return that is promised to the preference shareholders at the time of inception, that is, at the time of buying the instrument itself. So they don't go beyond that. It's not like whatever left over which is given to the equity shareholders. So that's the primary difference. Then we went with discussion about the debentures. Debentures come under the debt structure, or they contribute to the debt structure of a company. Long-term capital requirement again, but coming under the debt category. And when we make a comparison between the ownership and debt, what is more important is the payment towards debt structure happens before the payment to the preference and equity capital. So in that way, they are little safe. And debentures generally carry a lesser rate of return when we compare with the equity capital, because equity capital is little more risky when you make a correct or maybe stringent comparison between debentures and equity shares. And normally companies, the companies registered under Companies Act 1946, they go with the issue of the debentures. Okay. So we also mentioned that we are going to discuss about one more debt instrument, that is bond. Bond. Now, another thing which you have to understand here is debenture. If a company is very new to the market, they are coming into the market for the first time for sourcing fund or for taking loan, like by the issue of debenture. Maybe since people are not aware about this company, since they are not sure with the performance of this company, they may not subscribe to debentures, right? So if a company is coming for the first time, it may not take the channel of issue of debentures. But if it's a company which has been operating in the market for maybe past few years with a good track record, that is with profit earning records, automatically they might think of issuing debentures for resourcing fund or for resourcing fund for meeting the capital requirement. Capital requirement can come basically because they would like to expand, they would like to go with new venture, maybe into a new segment, or maybe they might be thinking of installing some new production process, so they need financial assistance. So to meet the financial assistance, they might go with issue of debentures. So the reasons can be different, but during the process of ongoing business, a company can think of issuing debentures. Now coming to bond, what we have to really understand here is generally, we have two kinds of bonds. Bonds, those are issued by government companies, government organizations, as well as corporate companies. Government bonds are little attractive, more attractive than the corporate bonds. The reason is the risk exposure is comparatively lower. Why? The repayment of government bonds are promised by government entity, whereas in case of corporate bonds, the repayment is promised by that particular company. So naturally, we can understand why government bonds are more attractive. So the risk exposure is more with respect to government bonds, with respect to corporate bonds. So generally, the rate of return offered by both these categories also differ. Corporate bonds carry higher rate of return, what we call as coupon rate. Interest rate is otherwise called as coupon rate. So higher coupon rate when we compare with the government bonds. And normally a company will think of issue of bond at the time of inception. Say for example, when government is coming up with a new project like construction of an airport. Construction of an airport requires huge investment. So at that time, the government may issue bonds, okay, issue bonds saying maybe it is for the next 10 years or maybe 15 years. They will, now normally it is less than 10 years, they will go with issue of bonds. All right. So that is from the government side. Maybe companies at the time of inception, they might go with the issue of bond. The reason here is they don't want to dilute their capital structure. Suppose if you issue shares, of course, you are diluting your capital. You are including more shareholders. Sometimes myself and say Alina went with setting up a company. So in that case, we felt the need to, during our expansion process, we felt the need for fund. So at that time, we had two options. One is issue of shares, another one issue of maybe bond. So we thought we don't want other owners for this company. We want ourselves to be the sole owners to the company. It should be known as Asha's and Alina's company. So that's why what did we do? We went with issue of debentures so that our ownership is not diluted. No more owners are there to the company with voting rights. Whatever decision, the primary decisions will be taken by me and Alina. So that's a concept which is applicable when we think about issue of ownership instruments like share or preference share, right? But in case of bond, the plus point is ownership is not diluted. But generally people go for a mortgage bond. Now, what is mortgage bond? It is secured against the assets of the company. People prefer such type of bonds. Otherwise, in case of corporates, when they come up with the bonds, normally they look for secured or mortgage bonds. But government bonds, that's okay. Even if it is zero coupon bonds, people prefer ordinary bond. People prefer it because the repayment is promised by government. So that's why we say that bonds are generally issued at the time of inception, at the time of starting up. It's not mandatory. Suppose the government goes with some of the COVID, after COVID measures. So at that time, imagine that there is some financial crisis. Government can think of issuing bonds, temporary, maybe for 5 or 6 years, inviting people to contribute to subscribe to that for meeting the financial requirement. So that's not mandatory, but generally what we can see in the market is bonds are issued during the inception or starting up of a particular project for meeting the financial requirement. Now, when we are talking about a bond, what we can understand is, as I said, no, generally a charge will be created against the assets of the company because it's a new company, it's a new project. People might not be sure with the repayment of this money, so they prefer a charge created against the assets of the company so that they are in a safer zone. If at all, if this company or this project is a failure, they can get the money back by discharge of the assets, by discharge of the assets for which it was pledged for, right? So that is actually a general introduction about bonds. Now, when we look into the market, broadly, we can see 8 or 9 types of bonds that are popular among the investors. One is zero coupon bonds. The particular nature of this bond, as the name indicates, this is with no coupon rate, no interest. But the profit for the investor is the difference between the purchase price and the selling price. Okay, I repeat, the profit for the investor is the difference between the purchase price and the selling price. In a way, these bonds are issued at a deep discount. Suppose if the face value is 100, it might be issued for 20 rupees or 30 rupees and sold at the face value that is 100 rupees. So the difference between, suppose if it is issued for 20 rupees, the difference between 100 and 20, 80 rupees would be the benefit for the investors, maybe after 10 years or maybe after 5 years. So that is what we call as zero coupon bond. That is, these bonds do not carry any coupon rate, do not carry any interest. They are issued at a discount. The difference between the purchase price and the selling price will give you the profit, the return for investing in bond. Now, the second one I already said, mortgage bonds. Mortgage bonds actually carry a charge against the assets of the company. So they are secured. They secured against the assets of the company. So in case if the company is not able to make the payment, definitely the payment can be made by discharge or by selling off the assets. Such bonds are called as mortgage bonds. Convertible bonds, you can guess, they have an option to convert that into maybe to equity shares, generally to equity shares, or maybe to preference shares. So that convertible options are given maybe to a different category of bonds. In certain cases, that is also possible, to a different category of bonds. So convertible bonds are those bonds which are issued with an option to convert that into equity shares or debentures at a future rate at a fixed price. The price is also fixed. So there is no ambiguity regarding the issue. That's specified in the condition. So they have an option to convert. Step-up bond, as the name indicates, say suppose if the coupon rate is promised during the first 5 years is 5%, step-up bond may come up with an option that first 5 years you will be given with 5% interest. Next 5 years you will be given with 7.5% interest, stepping up. The interest rate is increased. There is an increase in the interest rate. Such types of bonds are what we call a step-up bond. That is an option to increase the coupon, generally the coupon rate. That is a general option that is given in case of step-up bonds. So the first 5 years, maybe the company is very new, so they may not be able to give you interest at a high rate. So they will say, see, we are very new. For the first years, we would be able to give you only 5% return. But once we grow, once we start making profit, it will be easy for us to pay you with 7.5% interest in the next maybe 5 or 3 or 4 years, as it is said in the condition. Such type of bonds are what we call as step-up bonds. Callable and non-callable, it is very simple to remember. If during the tenure, say if the bond is issued with a maturity period of 10 years, during the time of this 10-year period, if the company can call back the bond at any time, such category is called as callable bond. Company can call back. You give the instrument, we repay you the money. We don't want this capital anymore, your fund anymore. So such type of bond, that is the company would like to discharge the debt as soon as possible. Such some companies will be going with issue of callable bonds. So at any time, they are not ready to wait till 10 years for the maturity of the bond. At any time, they will call back the bond and pay you the money with the promised interest rate. Such types of bonds are what we call as callable bonds. If this option is not available, it will be redeemed only at the maturity date. Those are called as non-callable bonds. Okay. So in market, you can find both these types, and callable bonds are generally issued by those companies who are anticipating only a temporary shortage of fund, maybe for the first years, the first few years. After that, they are sure that they would be having enough money from their operation. Such companies will be going with issue of callable bonds. Then bonds with warrants is similar like equity with warrant. That is, you have another portion called warrants, dischargeable warrants, which on a future date can be converted into maybe shares, maybe debentures, generally shares at a fixed rate on a fixed maturity period. So this is again a sweetener to the bond. To make the bond attractive, to make the capital structure, debt capital attractive, you are given with an option to be part of the company as owners by issuing warrants. Warrants can be converted into shares in a future date with a prescribed fixed price. So that's bonds with warrants. And then when you talk about the floating rate bonds, it's very as you say, things are very easy when you talk about floating rate. The interest is not fixed. The coupon rate is not fixed. It's floating. You remember like that. It's floating based on some benchmark. Maybe the prevailing interest rate in the market, maybe the prime lending rate of banks. There can be some benchmark which will be based on which the bond rate will be varying. It's not fixed. Suppose if it is issued for 5 years, initially maybe 5%, then that will vary depending on the market conditions. Such type of bonds are called as floating rate bonds. And then we talk about the option bonds. Option bonds actually they come up with an option for the equity shareholders. As, they are trying to include the needs of different types of investors, or as you say, inherent needs of different types of investors. Some investors would be preferring for a regular return from your investment, whereas some who are earning, still working and have a regular income, they might not be preferring a regular income in the form of interest, because they already have the salary or some other income source with them. What they prefer is they prefer a high rate of interest at the end, cumulative. So these bonds, option bonds, come up with the characteristics of you can pick anyone, whether you want a cumulative or a non-cumulative. Cumulative is payment is paid. Coupon, the interest is paid only at the end of the bond maturity. When the amount is paid back to the investor, the interest also would be accumulated and paid back. But non-cumulative, though, they go with regular distribution of dividend to the regular distribution of interest to the investors. So maybe every quarter, every 3 months, or normally half yearly interest is payment, or maximum 1 year. They will make the payment regularly to the accounts of the investors. So this is option bond come with an option to go with cumulative payment of the interest rate or non-cumulative payment of the interest rate. So if it is with respect to cumulative, then definitely it is accumulated, consolidated, and paid at the time of redemption. Whereas non-cumulative, paid regularly. Maybe in every half yearly payment is done, or yearly payment, annual payment is done with respect to the coupon rate. Most popular one is annual payment. So that the investor is given with a return on a regular basis. He need not wait till the end. Say sometimes retired personnels who had gone with investment in bonds, they might be preferring a regular return instead of waiting for 10 years or as you say, 7 years, 8 years and all. They would be preferring a regular return. That's what we call as non-cumulative So, to summarize, we were discussing about bond, right? Bond is an instrument that qualifies for long-term capital requirement under the category of debt instrument, right? Now, when we look into the bond market, we can primarily find two types of bonds, government bonds and the corporate bonds. Government bonds, as the name indicates, those are floated by government bodies, whereas corporate bonds, they are floated by companies. Government bodies can be institution, can be from the central government directly, or can be from any public sector companies undertakings. It depends, but primarily the promise to repay will be made by the government. Okay. Then we discussed about types of bonds, where we first said about zero coupon bond, where as the name indicates, these bonds do not carry any coupon or interest. They are issued at discount, repaid on face value. So the difference between the purchase price and the sale price would be the interest or the return to the investor. Mortgage loans, of course, mortgage loans, they are issued by creating a charge against the assets of the company. So that means they are secure. If at all, if the company or the organization is unable to repay the amount would be repaid by discharging the asset for which it was secured. That's mortgage bond. Convertible bonds, definitely they have an option to convert into another type of long-term instrument, most probably share. Then callable and non-callable, oh no, step-up bonds. Of course, step-up bonds may, in the general course, what we can see in the market is they come up with a lower interest rate, coupon rate at the beginning. After few years, you get an option to upgrade yourself to a higher coupon rate. Callable and non-callable bonds. Callable is it gives an option for the company to make you redeem the bond in between before the maturity date. Non-callable bonds does not carry that option of redemption before the maturity date. That is, company can call back. You give the bonds, we will repay the money. That's callable. Bonds with warrant, bonds with a sweetener called warrant. Warrant gives you an option to convert your warrant into equity shares at a fixed price in a future date. In most of the cases, it would be equity shares, but there are exemptions to that also. Then floating rate bond, of course, the coupon rate is not fixed. It depends upon some benchmark prevailing in the market, maybe the interest rate or as we say, some other benchmark that is prevailing in the market. Option bonds, yes, option bonds give you two options with respect to payment of interest, that is either as a lump sum or cumulative or on a regular interval as non-cumulative. So that's it. Yeah, now you can